is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
Excuse me as I rock on. That's Went Away by Dorothy Lane. Dorothy Lane out of Martinez, California. That's out of the Cut and Dry album. Check them out at dorothylanemusic.com. Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to Ruel's Running Podcast. This is Ruel Abadam. How are you? I hope you're doing well. If you are a new listener, welcome to the show, welcome to the podcast. I hope you stick around. If you are a return listener, what's up guys? Scratch as I scratch my chin, it's a little itchy. Yeah, how's everybody doing? I hope everyone's doing well. I'm okay. I trying to just relax a little bit. A lot's gone on since the last podcast, and I guess I'll just get right into it. First off, happy birthday to me. Thank you. I appreciate all of your happy birthdays. I'm going to look forward to a wonderful dinner with the family to celebrate my birthday. And I received many wishes online, and it's awesome. But that's well and good. I do wish that I could celebrate my birthday the way my son has. And he recently had a birthday, and we recently celebrated his birthday by having a awesome party at the house. It was so awesome. He had a sort of a science technology sort of themed birthday, or as they say, STEAM or STEM. STEM being the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or math, and STEAM being, they add the A in STEM to make STEAM the A meaning arts. And so we did a lot. My wife did a lot. She has a knack for designing events and parties, and this particular party she designed, she piggybacked off of the idea, or she piggybacked off an activity that my son enjoys, and it is called Tinker Crates. If you've never heard of Tinker Crates, look up KiwiCo online. And basically what it is our oldest son is on a subscription of these Tinker Crates, and about once a month he receives a crate, if you will. And in the box is the material and guidebook or instructions on building something, some sort of project, which is, science, technology, engineering, mathematics sort of based. And some kits are really, really cool. Some kits contain more than one project, depending on, I guess, I've never looked at the website, but I guess there are sort of there's certain crates kits that are designed for certain age groups. So, you can buy them for older kids and some for younger kids, which is neat. An example of one of the projects my son did was a catapult. It was a game where you have a catapult that flings balls over onto seemingly like an arcade game. Another one was another project he had was a box with a turntable inside it, and the turntable, obviously it turns, it spins, and it's got all like the electronics involved to control the spin. And as the thing, you had a sheet of paper over the turntable, and you had paint and various paint you could drop on top of the paper as it spun. And as you imagine, the color would run or bleed based on the circular motion it makes, and the end result would be some awesome artwork. Another thing he did was a hydraulic sort of claw, where he had I want to say cardboard, but I also want to say almost a corrugated board. But for some reason I'm thinking fiberglass, but it couldn't have been fiberglass because that would have just been kind of an itchy mess. But he had this corrugated strips that would form a retractable claw, that whole zigzag sort of pattern. And he had these rubber hoses that he would attach to syringes, and there would be syringes on each end of the hose, and he would obviously fill them up with water. And as he pulled and pushed a syringe on one end of the hose, it would either push or pull the other syringe on the other end of the hose. And he would attach this corrugated claw, retractable claw, to one end of to one of these syringes, and he would have two sets of these. And what it would do is it would demonstrate how you can use this hydraulic setup to cause the claw to extend and to also grab or not grab. Isn't that cool? A lot of cool stuff. And there's other stuff that I can't even describe. There was one where it was on the box. There was this box, and in the middle of the box, kind of like a clock, in the dead center, there was this arm, and somehow a ball bearing is attached to the thing, and an arm with what seems like an elbow, and then there was electronics attached to the very tip of this arm, and there's some sort of like LED light, and I don't know, it just, as the thing span around with this, and it had this elbow, it caused this sort of this swinging and twirling motion, and it created, as the light was lit up, the light faced into itself, so that you would see sort of like this trailing glow of light on the face of this box as this arm twirled around the light. And it's a really cool lighting effect. I guess a demonstration of how fast light moves and how it causes us to view. I don't know. It's just a lot of stuff. And so, anyways, back to the party. The idea was have a themed party. She put it out there for a bunch of the guests to RSVP, and as they RSVP'd, as they accepted the invitation to attend, they would provide information on how old their child was to attend, and there were choices that were given to them that the parents got to choose or help their child choose what type of project they wanted to work on. So all of this preparation ahead of time. So my wife purchased all of these Tinker crates for the children. There was about 25 kits purchased, and so we have this massive tent set up in the back of the house, and we rented. We had 4 tables set up. We had some tables rented, and some we owned. We rented chairs, and we had this whole work area. My wife, she made a place setting for each of the kids with their Tinker Crate, their name, and their own little space where they could work. It's pretty cool. So right from the get-go, when the kids arrived, they got to get to their spot under the tent. And the beautiful thing about it is, the kids got to work on something, to create something, and it was a learning activity. And depending on the age of the child, they had a parent with them also work through it. The parents themselves, learned something from it, and it was also an opportunity to have the child and the parent work together on something. Having a family of my own, I know how hectic it can be to sort of let those opportunities slip, to not have that working time with your child on things like little projects, especially if you have a bunch of kids. And I can understand how if you attend another kid's party, how easy it is to just have the kids just get sucked into, let's say if it was a jumpy house type party where everyone's just jumping, blowing off steam, just jumping around, getting exhausted, and then get sort of ushered into the next room and have like pizza and cake and stuff and sing happy birthday. And as a parent, you just sort of let your kid, you sort of take that moment to be on a break and let your kids run amok in a sort of a controlled, confined space, so that you don't have to worry about anybody getting lost. But here, it's different. You engage the child and you engage the parents, and they have a common sort of objective, and everyone works on the project. Everyone has a different project, and it's neat. It's neat to see. I mean, part of the time I looked at the parents and thought, you didn't think that you were going to actually do any work today, did you? You thought you would just come in and then kind of step aside and just let the kids do whatever they want. But they had a really good time working on stuff. The kids, they're varying capabilities and ages and stuff. So, some kids needed more help than others. We had a pair of kids attend, brother and sister. Their father came over and he said that he needed to run errands. So if he wanted to know if it was okay if he just sort of left the kids for the party. And that was new for us. I'm like, sure, no problem. I made sure that they were safe and that they were fed and that they got the help they needed when they were working on the activities. But we thought it was kind of odd, so we just figured he had the dad maybe had an alcohol problem and just, needed to go hit the bar while the kids were at a party. But, that was just me making stuff up in my head. It wasn't true. Because when he came to pick up his kids, he didn't smell and look like he was... He had been drinking. So he's probably cheating on his spouse. I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, I too was pretty occupied during the whole activities. I was helping my youngest one work through stuff, and I helped my middle one work through stuff. My oldest, because he's so accustomed to these kids, he's just knocking it out the park. He made himself available to help friends if they needed any help. I had to help the two kids whose father abandoned them at the party, help them through stuff. It was a great time, and I had to pause and tell folks that they could go back in the house and get some refreshments, something to eat. They weren't like bound to the projects and that they had to complete it all in one shot. But got to give it to everybody. They were pretty dedicated with the activity, and they held off from having something to eat and something to drink because they really wanted to work on that stuff, on the projects. But yeah, eventually, the projects were done or set aside, and people got into the food. The food was pretty nice. The spread was pretty nice. It's a kids' party, so it's not an It's not an NS. It's not has nothing to do with NSNG. It's just has to do with having stuff available for anybody. And you know, a lot of the things that we prepared at home. One was chili. We did the chili. It was just a beef chili. There's a recipe for pumpkin chili. So it was basically a beef chili that also had some pumpkin in it. And to accompany that, my wife made cornbread. And the other thing we had was pulled pork. Making pulled pork is pretty straightforward and easy, especially with an Instant Pot. So we made that, and to accompany the pulled pork, we had little Hawaiian dinner rolls. So the idea was, we would sort of pre-construct basically pulled pork sandwiches, but we would still have a big old batch of the pulled pork on a separate dish for staying warm for folks who just wanted to eat the pulled pork without having it in a slider. The other thing I made was it's a dish from Guam. It's a very common and popular dish on the island. It's called chicken kelaguen, and it's basically chopped chicken, like roasted chicken or grilled chicken, without the bones, obviously, without the skin. And it's seasoned with lemon juice and some chopped onions and some. We don't have fresh red chilies, fresh red chilies, so I used red chili flakes, and that was nice. It was some describe it as a salad, but it's because you do keep the chicken cool and then prior to serving, so it's not like a hot chicken hors d'oeuvre. So I guess the cool factor makes it feel like it's a salad. But to accompany that is another Guam item. It's called tatidzas. It's like a tortilla, but it's sweet, and we make that as well. That's kind of a popular thing to do. Taking the chicken kelaguen and putting it in the tatidzas and eating it together. Other things we had. We had with the same batter that we used for the cornbread. We made little corn dogs, and in the form of a muffin, a mini muffin. So it's taking some of the cornbread batter and then taking a chunk of a hot dog. A nice. We would cut the hot dog in about almost an inch in segments, and then we would pop one of those segments into the dish, and as it baked, the batter would rise slightly, and it would actually cover the whole segment of the hot dog. So what you end up having were these mini cornbread muffins with a hot dog inside. So those are neat. Those are popular. And what else did we have? Because it's a kids' party, just in case, we had some buttered pasta. The rotini style, and we also had we had ordered and picked up several pizzas as well. So basic cheese pizzas and pepperoni pizzas, and that's all I remember. We did have a dessert spread as well. My wife made some cookie bars, and she made some cupcakes, and there was also we put out some other things, other snacks. So it was a nice spread for a kid party. Hold on one second. That's right. Sitting in the car, and I didn't want to have the engine running as I started the recording because of the hum, but now it's just getting too darn hot, so I need the air, so now we're going to have to deal with the hum. But yeah, that was that. And hold on one second. Lonnie, as you listen to this, I'm texting you back because you wanted to know if we're good to go at the top of the hour. Yep. BeMighty.com. Play your Spotify music on the go without a phone or internet connection. Mighty. Folks, I picked up a Mighty a while ago from the good folks at Mighty to test out, try out. It really, really, really reminded me of some other device that I used on the go, and you should check it out. It plays Spotify playlists and podcasts, and it works with Bluetooth and wired headphones. It stores more than 1,000 tracks offline with up to 5 hours of listening time, and there's wireless syncing involved through a mobile app, and it's drop-proof and water-resistant. Check them out. It's a little tiny device, and you can listen to your Spotify music and your Spotify podcasts, and you don't have to carry your phone once you've got it all synced. You can just have this little thing. It's about an inch and a half or so by inch and a half square. And check them out at ruwellsrunning.com/partners. Click on the Mighty link and see what they got. They come in 3 colors. They come in black, white, and orange. Check them out. ruwellsrunning.com/partners for Mighty Audio. Be mighty. Okay, so what else is going on? Having has nothing to do with running, but as I used to say, it's just part of what life is going on around here, and a lot of things that we have to operate, aka run. So I mentioned Lonnie. Lonnie and I were doing Service Guys podcast. we like to say it's his podcast, because it's basically his concept. I'm just the guy who has the experience with setting up the podcast, and so he's the service professional, and I'm the podcast producer, and it's a great team, and we're having a great time on the Service Guys podcast. And it's doing pretty well. If you guys want to check out another podcast that has nothing to do with running, but it is an interesting podcast, if I might say so myself. Check it out. So far we've had a guest who runs a bar and grill. Listen to the podcast to find out what's going on in his world. That is Kurt Leopard in West Fargo, South Dakota. He operates what's called a Silver Dollar Bar and the Flying Pig Grill. Find out how he serves his community, what the story is about his business, and some interesting stories around what goes on there. Another guest we've had on that both guests, Lonnie's booked, and he finds some really interesting people to connect with. Another one was Sue Hill. She operates cosmetic solutions in was it Austin, Texas? I can't remember. But you can find out what happens in Sue's world as she helps people from a cosmetic standpoint, really good stuff. We had Mark Thompson, friend of the show. We had him on, and he has a civil engineering background. He's a water engineer, and find out how he and what he does, and some interesting stories what goes on in his world. But that's what all goes on at the Service Guys podcast. Lonnie and I, we're scheduled to do another one pretty soon, and it should be fun. But a lot of stuff's going on. So there's this podcast, there's the Service Guys podcast. I talked about the party earlier and how we've had a spread of desserts and stuff for the party. For those of you who may know, under abadamstudios.com, I do a thing where I work on other folks' websites. Restoration, Lonnie's website, I help maintain. But I've built a website for my wife for a baked goods business. Yes, it has nothing to do with NSNG. It's just something that my wife's done for a number of years, and it's always been expressed to her that she should, do her own thing, because her baked goods have gotten pretty popular around the community. So I was like, why not? She can create the product, I can create the website. And so for a while now, I've been also building up a store for my wife's business, and it'll be good. It's out there, but I'm not going to say the name of the business just yet. But it's just one of the many things that I've been running around doing. Speaking of running, the other podcast that I'm involved with is the Ultra Diner, and that's doing a podcast specific to ultra running with a good friend of the show, Tony Portera, and that's still kind of in its infancy. I've been chatting with some folks about having them on as guests, and I've got some yeses. So right now it's just a really tough time for Tony and I to connect, because it's the beginning of a new school year, and that makes things kind of complicated. And it's also on Tony's side, he has a family and he has other responsibilities that are taking him away, and so it's always family and business first, and but good things come to those who wait, and I actually am going to go running a little bit with one of the guests lined up for the Ultra Diner. Mentioned at the top of the show, just completed a birthday. So this is where I get into the running part, guys. Completed a birthday, and I decided to take a day on the weekend to do a birthday run. The concept isn't new. I haven't thought about doing one in a while, but until recently. So I'm going to take a 8-mile loop from home, and I'm just going to run those loops on a particular day. And one of the friends of the show, very good friend, I would like to say, she's going to meet me on the morning of my birthday run, and she's gonna spend a good loop with me, and we'll have her on the show. You'll find out who that is when on the Ultra Diner podcast when that happens. But it'll be great way for me to kick off my run, and a great way to catch up with an old friend. And I'm kind of excited, but I'm also nervous. She's a talented runner. She's ran Badwater 135 recently, and so I have a lot to learn. But it'll be good. It'll be a good time to catch up. But I told her I was nervous, right? I always get this nervousness related to a big run. More about the big, these sort of these solo missions. And I'm trying to figure out why I get nervous. I asked her if you ever get used to those sort of the anxiousness or the nervousness to run. She says no, not for her. She's always been excited about hitting these runs. And for me, I guess I'm nervous because I'm going to have to motivate myself to be out there. So, I got to motivate myself to get up really early in the morning and gear up and, start to run. And with each lap, I got to motivate myself to stay on. And the idea is I'm just getting some text now from Lonnie about a change of plans for our session, which is fine. Which means, gonna have to send out some new information. It's okay. We can make it happen. So, damn it, I kind of lost my train of thought. But at any rate, pretty soon I'll be out there just putting on the miles. I want to cover for this birthday run. I want to see how many loops I can accomplish, and for a good chunk of the day, if I can motivate myself to get 45 miles in, then that'll be basically me covering as many miles as I have turned in age. Yeah, that'd be cool. And should I do that, then that would have been the longest miles I would have covered on a single run. And then, yeah, you guys are right. Why, 45, if you're going to get up to 45, why don't you just go straight up to 50, since you've been saying in this podcast that the 50 distance has been eluding you for a while. I know, right? I should. Oh, speaking of 50, I registered for the Hunter S. Thompson Fear and Loathing Fat Ass in San Francisco. It's the 50K and a 50 miler. So I signed up for the 50, and the way it works is it's a fat ass format. The only difference is they allow aid, and there's a cutoff midway, mile 25. Should I not make a 25 mile cutoff time, then I continue on the 50K instead. So I signed up for that last week, and then I realized, look at me, I just signed up for my first 50. So I think it could, for that particular event, it could be nice, it could be good, since these days a lot of my midday runs have been in the city, where I run from the financial district up Nob Hill and Laurel Heights and I hit a good number of hills within the city, and I've gotten used to running in the city. Now I just, if I can get in sections of the course and get familiar with it that way, that'll be great. But it's kind of neat. It's kind of neat to have the opportunity to run in the city for an event like that, knowing that I've been already spending time running in the city, San Francisco. So cool. So that's running. I had my eyes set on the Berkeley Trail Adventure towards the end of September. I still do. I have not registered. I'd like to do that. I'd like to complete it. Considering I didn't complete it last year. It's funny how that works out. On Ultra Sign Up, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but I don't show up, right, in any sort of result on that particular day when I got off the course. I don't know why. I didn't finish the course. I started it. I didn't finish it. On account of getting lost or whatever. I don't know if it's because I'm being done a favor by not showing that there was a DNF on my record. I don't really care. Or if they're not showing it up on the event just because they just never got around to it for whatever reason. But so that's September, and then I was looking forward to the Hunter S. Thompson Fear and Loathing in San Francisco at the early part of December, right? And it wasn't until just very recently that I decided to do the birthday run, So initially thought I would just sort of work my way, get myself to a level of fitness where I can complete the September 50K, and with knowing that I want to train at getting faster so that I can have a level of a success in the December fat ass. I guess the goal is just don't get cut off midway in the 50 miler. And the cutoff is, I forget, like 4 hours, 25 minutes or something like that. 5 hours, 25 minutes, something like that. I don't remember, but it's yet to be determined if I can actually accomplish that. So, I've been trying to work on some stuff. I mean, my last run in the city, I've been playing with Strava and the Relive app recently so that I can get a different view and perspective on how I'm running in the city. It's pretty neat. If anybody's used Strava, it's just basically GPS tracking for your runs, and they track bike as well. But the Relive app, as you integrate that, it uses satellite data to show you like a 3D video of your run. It's kind of neat. But anyways, I went out a few days ago and I ran in the city, one of my favorite routes for the midday, and then I lost power on my phone, so I lost tracking. I lost maybe, I don't know, a couple of miles, 3 miles or something, maybe, of tracking. So it has me start, and the video, it has me run through a good chunk of my route, and then it ends away from where I started. So in the video, it makes it look like it was a point to point, but it really, really it was one big loop I did. At any rate, the part that wasn't tracked, there's a stretch of my run where I'm running down what's called Columbus Street, and it's in the city. So as you imagine, you have to cross many intersections, crosswalks, and whatever. So what happened is I ended up, in my mind, racing a double-decker bus through that stretch of the course, and I did that so that I can do sort of like a progression type run, right? It's weird. But it was basically the last, I don't know, third or quarter of my run, and here I was, I see a double-decker bus with tourists on it, and it's a green light, it's a walk light, so I'm running, and the bus goes, and I'm just, and I'm picking up the pace, just trying to get to the next intersection, and hoping that I can cross safely, and the bus would and cause the and hopefully the bus will hit a red light, then I would beat it. And it was a series of these throughout that whole section where the bus would like zoom past me, but then I would catch up because it would get caught up at an intersection, I would jaywalk just so that I can get a head start. And there was times where I was running side by side with the bus, and there were times where I would zoom past it, not zoom, but I would run past and get a good lead, and then it would catch up and beat me. So it was a nice stretch. I mean, it's a kind of run. It's running in the cities, where there's a lot of intersections. It was good for this part of my run because I would, I would push hard. Then if I had to stop because of safety reasons, then I would catch my breath, and then as soon as the green would happen, then I would just, haul ass. So it was nice. It was a nice way to get some level of fitness training going on. So that's sort of how I'm approaching my fitness. It's Hey guys, got interrupted with a call, so I had to pick up where I left off. Basically, I was saying that, being able to run in the city when I did, racing that bus, if you will, that was my last run. I knew that I was going to be a little bit tired and sore afterwards, so I knew that I needed to recover. Despite thinking that way, I did want to go out on an easy run the next day, but got busy and haven't been able to get out again. But that's okay. And my concern is with the upcoming long run, I didn't want to get too destroyed, I guess. Just get my body kind of settled down, and so that when I go out for the long birthday run, that everything will be, then I can start wrecking my body. I haven't told Tony yet about the fact that I'll be doing this long run, and he's not going to care, but in terms of if I'm trying to prepare to do good on next month's 50K, and then have a level of success on the December 50 miler, I don't know if this is doesn't make any sense in as far as training, because this is definitely going to be junk miles. And but I feel like at this point in time I do want to do something that's more than just a lunch run, because it really is like nothing special, right? Oh, I went out during the midday and I ran in San Francisco. Yeah, big deal. But like, if I can say, hey, on the weekend I went out and did an 8-mile loop 6 times, 7 times, I don't know, whatever it may be. It really depends on how I feel. At a certain point, I got to keep myself motivated to just keep pounding the loops, and I've yet to stock up on any sort of supplies. It will be by home, and the concern is that since I am starting from home and I'll be running relatively close to home, that might be a reason to just want to bail. So I got to be careful, but that's where I need to go to get like resupplied for more water. I need to get home to do that. Or if I need to use the restroom, I go there. I just got to get the family used to like saying, okay, get out of here. Stop spending any time at home. Go. You have more loops to cover, dude. But I need to get water. I need to get some more meat bars, or something, or more nuts. So this will be cool. Sort of a strategy I just started thinking today. It'll be cool when I start, because it's going to be super early in the morning. Plan to meet up with my friend. I'll just call her Gabriella, because Gabriella is her name. So right now the plan is I'm going to meet up with Gabriella at my place. She's going to do a loop with me. She has a busy day, but she wants to spend a few miles with me, celebrate my birthday. So I said that should be about one nice easy loop. So we'll cover a loop together to kick off the run before she heads out. It'll be cool, it'll be dark, so I won't have to carry what I usually carry. I won't have to carry a pack. So I can go just easy, kind of lightweight. But I'll have the pack ready for later in the day when it starts to heat up, when I'll pick up the pack, maybe. really I should be able to get by with just carrying a handheld. Considering it to be 8 miles between 8 stops, if you look at it that way. And there's always opportunities along the route to pull over at a park that's along the way. There's facilities there. There's probably a water fountain if I needed to. What else? Well, and then there's some businesses along the way as well that I might be able to duck into should I need to. But it'll be interesting. But that's that. And so I guess on the next episode, you'll get to hear about the outcome of that event. And so that's it for the episode. Just want to say thanks for listening. Catch you on the next episode. So yeah. Okay, folks. Just want to say thanks for listening. Be sure to follow Ruel's Running on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Say hi. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, I'd love to hear it. I don't often ask for it, but this podcast hasn't received a rating and review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts in quite a while. And would be nice to have somebody go in there and say they want to kick my balls and give me 5 stars. I would greatly appreciate it. So someone do that. Awesome. Now go out, hug your family, hug your friends, eat something delicious, and go run something. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.